You're listening to Oilersnation Radio, presented by the Nation Network. Subscribe for free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of Oilersnation Radio. This is episode 69. Nice. Of course, I want to start off by shouting out our friends at Sherwood Ford, the Giant, out in beautiful Sherwood Park, Alberta. Go ahead,
that
follow
was for
them.
the 69. It just took me a while to get there.
Wow. Or for Sherwood Ford, of course, because they're fantastic people. Go ahead and follow them on Twitter at Sherwood Ford and on Instagram at Sherwood Ford _ the Giant. And if you see Jay cruising around in the Nation truck, snap a picture of that baby, post it on social media, use the hashtag Nation Truck, and you are entered to win a $100 gift card.
Gas card
For
gifts.
Well, it depends. Like sometimes gas can be a gift. Depending.
Yes.
It'd be a hell of a gift.
Hell of a gift. Tyler, you would appreciate a gas card, wouldn't you?
Always.
Of course. Also, Tyler, big news. You got us onto Google Play, yes?
Confirmed.
Hell yeah.
We are on Google Play. If you're listening to this on Google Play, high five yourself.
Where else are we on?
Spotify,
Zoom?
Apple.
Stitcher.
Not SoundCloud, because I don't think anyone really uses SoundCloud.
Man, what about my rap career?
Yeah, what?
You know who is? Never mind. I was going to say, you know who is on SoundCloud? Doesn't matter.
Don Cherry?
An inferior podcast is all I'll say.
Is it real life? Oh, wait, I'm on that one.
Oh, yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, the beef.
The battle lines have been drawn, Bag Milk.
Have they?
Do I know
Well, so last night, somebody mentioned that they thought that one of our podcasts, somebody had predicted that Nygaard would beat
when we did our
McDavid.
preview podcast.
That Nygaard would beat McDavid in the fastest skater. And so I was doing the tweets, and so I just assumed it was us. And Jay came in and said, fuck no, that was a real life thing. And so we said we're going to have a schoolyard brawl. And then I was like, well, that puts Bag Milk in an awkward situation.
Yeah, me and Tyler were just like hold hands or something.
Oh yeah, Tyler too, I guess.
I don't care about either podcast, so I wouldn't really care about this fight.
You don't care about us?
I'm kidding. I was going to say I don't listen to either of them.
You know, I'm getting really tired of the grumpy Tyler character gimmick.
Can't wait for your balls to drop.
You know, I was hosting 10 to noon on TSN 1260.
Oh,
jealous.
And a lot of people texted in and were like, Tyler, you sound so much happier when you get to be the host. It's like, that's something to do with my ego and how I always need to be in charge. So
nice.
All right, well, I'm in charge here, so sorry, Tyler's ego. So, but first, I do want to throw to my friend Tyler Yaremchuk because we are going to start off with the Sherwood Ford Giant Question.
Giant.
It's up right now on our Instagram and Twitter. You can have your opinion heard there. But the question is, what's been the most surprising part of this Oilers winning streak? They're 1-4 of 5, points in 5 in a row, 4-0-1. It's been great. There's plenty of things to pick from. We got one answer on Instagram from Carter Clairhout. I probably butchered his name. But he said,
no, that's probably it.
He said depth scoring and attention to detail, like you guys talked about last week. Irish Canadian 02 said the secondary scoring and consistency of the offense. And ODub_22 said Mike Smith staying consistent and the depth scoring. But
100% on that one.
So your answer would be Mike Smith?
It has to be. Like the fans have been real down on Mike Smith, and they haven't been wrong. December was one of the worst months. Yeah. But the last 4 games, he's been stellar. And he's been pulled into duty when, we were going back and forth. Duty, yes, nice. When we've been going back and forth between the goalies and nobody's really been given any consistency. But the one thing, too, with Smith is that he's said that all along, that he just wanted a little bit of consistency and a chance to run with it, and he has. So it's been great. And it's been good, I think, too, for Koskinen to be able to get a little break. And now he'll be reset, hopefully, too.
Nick, what do you think has been the biggest difference for the Oilers over this last little run since the game against the Flames on the 27th, really?
To piggyback on what Dan was saying about Mike Smith, in these past 4 games, his 5-on-5 save percentage is .930. So he is definitely, I think, surprised a lot of people. But the depth scoring, a thing that's been an issue for the first half of the season, has finally come through. Since that Rangers game on New Year's Eve, where we nearly had a historic, catastrophic collapse, we have 8 players. What were you going to say, Rick?
I was never worried.
Okay. We've had 8 players not named McDavid, Neal, or Draisaitl score. Archibald has 3 goals. Sheehan has 2. Nurse 2. Yamamoto 2. Chiasson 2. Clefbaum 1. Haas 1. Yes. What do you want to say about Yamamoto, Rick?
And
I can see your face.
Nuge.
And Nuge with 3 goals and 5 assists.
Thank you.
There you go.
So depth scoring finally coming through.
Don't let Rick's, just turn off Rick's mic. Don't let it happen.
No, because we have the depth scoring has kind of sort of been there since November-ish. Like it had some catching up to do, right? To get back to the average in the NHL. Going in there, we're almost top 10, top 12 in that depth scoring. What it is, though, is that I'm sorry, but a guy who's coming in and playing top 6.
There it is. We've waited 2 weeks for it.
We've all been stressed about this moment.
But you can't tell me that second line looking better hasn't 100%. Made the first line and third and fourth line better. Absolutely. Like I'm not going to sit here and say that it's all on 56, but I'm going to say that it's putting up player who's ready to play in that position to succeed. And that's kind of, it's started there and it's filtered up and filtered down, and then the whole team just plays better.
I like that you added, though, like a player who was ready to contribute. Yeah. And I like that they kept him down till January. They waited.
Fair. I think he was probably ready to go in.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
But you haven't seen his game never took off. Like he didn't all of a sudden start putting up all these massive points in November or December. Mm-hmm. Like there was right around Christmas time, he didn't start to go off. Mm-hmm. He's been pretty consistent the whole way through. So yeah, you give him a month or two to get the ball rolling, and then you pull him up. Like I said, I would have pulled him a little bit earlier, but we are where we are right now.
Can't argue with how they handled them, though.
No, definitely not.
It changes the way the matchups go too, because you've got that second line now it's consistently a good line.
Yeah, when the other team has to sit there and try and divide up their defensive forwards and defensemen, you can't put it all on the Connor Leon line anymore.
Well, it's a good sign too when you in the third period when Archibald and Cassian get swapped. And they still they don't miss a beat. Archibald plays really well in that top line, and Cassian immediately has chemistry with Sheehan. So
those lines last night were all weird in the third period. Like I couldn't even keep up with them for sometimes. Sometimes you'd look and you're like, oh, they must be in between a change or something like that. And other times they're lined up in a face-off. You're like, whoa, I don't think I've seen you three on the ice at the same time ever.
The best Oilers line last night against Montreal was basically whatever line Riley Sheahan was on. Like I was looking up the numbers earlier today, which is weird to say that the best Oilers line was whatever line Riley Sheahan was on.
He's on fire right now, man.
Yeah, but that forward line with him, Cassian, and Nygaard outshot the opposition 5-0 in 3.5 minutes of even strength ice time. When it was Archibald on that right side, they again were the only Oilers line to outshoot the opposition at 5-on-5. McDavid's line didn't do that. The second line didn't do that. So yesterday was just a gutty win from the bottom six.
I think too. I mean, Tyler, we've talked about it on both podcasts, but like right now, at least over this stretch, especially on the road trip, the Oilers have had a lot more attention to detail than we saw at any point in December. They're coming back in their own zone. They're supporting each other better. They're not flying the zone necessarily, looking for long bomb passes, though sometimes it does work. Obviously, the goaltending is massive. They just have more balance as well.
I think going on a long road trip to start off the new year was the best thing for them. Like going on a road trip, go to the East Coast, kind of brings the team closer together. You're not, I mean, you can get a little bit distracted, but not as distracted as you can be being on a 5-game homestand, right? So I think when you're looking to turn your season around, kind of going out there, getting a big win against Boston, that kind of galvanizes the team a bit. So I think in the long run, this is one of those intangible things you can't really quantify, but I think in the long run it helps them.
They showed up last night at the right time, and they chose the night. They chose the night to take off the first two periods.
We should mention that they started off horribly.
It's a bit of a trap game. You just beat Boston and Toronto. You're coming, and all of a sudden you're going up against this shitty ass Montreal team.
7-game losing streak.
You're kind of whatever, but really what you're doing probably is looking towards Calgary. So they made a bit of a mistake and didn't really take Montreal as heavily as you should, and for the first 20 minutes it wasn't great. Second period looked better, and the third period they took over that game.
First period the Corsi advantage was 75% in
we were
Montreal's
losing
favor.
every battle. They were losing puck battles, skating battle. They were losing everything.
I think the important thing though is looking at that game against Montreal where they were on a 7-game losing streak. How many times have the Oilers lost that game to turn the tides for the other team? I think about earlier in the season, Detroit hadn't won in a millennia. The Oilers came out flat. So even though they did start last night's game flat, didn't have a good first period, they ground their way into a big.
I'm still not even really willing to say that they were the better team last night.
Third period they were for sure.
Yeah,
third period they took over.
The Habs did a lot to make sure they lost that hockey game. Like the Nate Thompson post stands out, but there was a ton of egregious giveaways and all that. But I wanted to give you guys this quote from Alex Chason via Rob Tychkowski. Chason said, "There are nights where you're not going to be your best, but that doesn't mean you can go out and shit the bed." And I think that's a great quote, and that's been something the Oilers have been good at this year. Is even when they're not at their best, when you look at earlier in the season or now, they would find a way just to grind out 2 points, right? And last night was a good example of that.
Looking back at the week that was, obviously that started last weekend with a huge win in Boston, probably one of the better opening 40 minutes that I've seen them play in a while. The third period, obviously Boston turned it on. They had something like 21 shots or something stupid like that, but that's a huge win. That was a huge win. And then that went into Toronto, where obviously we got to talk about Connor's goal in Toronto. That was another massive win against a team that can really put up a lot of goals. I mean, up until that third period power play, I think it was third period when Austin Matthews finally got on the board, it was Toronto's depth players that were getting stuff done, and their top players were...
Spezza line was killing us.
Were really... The top players were kind of just kept off the board entirely and just really quieted down. So I want to talk about those first two wins as well. One against Boston, two against Toronto. What did you guys see in those games that you liked from the Oilers? Obviously, there were two very different wins, two complete efforts, two big road games. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Beg Milk. It's the fact that the Oilers shut down probably the best line in hockey right now in Boston, and then shut down the top two lines of Toronto, which is where you're gonna get killed. And the Oilers have done that twice now against the Leafs. Both times the Leafs' bottom six has been the ones to beat us. It's just that in the first game against Toronto, we didn't. None of the rest of the team showed up for offense. But yeah, I think it's huge that they can come in, go up against great teams, offensive teams, and shut them down for the most part on the top end. Like you said, even though Matthews did score, you would say that the top players in Toronto weren't their best players that night.
Rick, what do you think?
I'm just happy they rose to the occasion. They didn't have a great December. They know that. They didn't get too down themselves. I know a lot of the fans, you kind of spin off and get a little more negative than whatnot, but they didn't get down on themselves. They believed in themselves the whole time. They said, you know what, it is just a bit of a blip in the radar, and they proved it. They came out and they took on Boston. They were the better team. They took on Toronto. They were the better team. Toronto honestly did not look that good. Toronto is I think it's pretty easy to beat. Just play them physical. Those defensemen cough that puck up all the time. You don't go out of your way to hit them, but if you're there, if you're in a stride, hit them. Finish your checks. Make sure you do it in the first 10 minutes, because I guarantee you the rest of the game, if you get close, he's going to just cough the puck up.
Nick?
I think, the Toronto game obviously is the more fun win. You got the Connor goal. You got the quote about, it's really fun to play here, but it's also fun to leave here.
The finger wag.
Like that was the more fun game, but I think the Boston game is the more important game in the sense that Boston, as much as people want to crown Toronto, Boston is still the class of that division, and maybe other than Tampa Bay and Washington is pretty much the class of the Eastern Conference. So to get a big 4-1 win, like really outplay a physical team like that, I think set the momentum for what they did in Toronto.
Two teams have beat the Boston Bruins in Boston this year, and it's us in Colorado.
Yeah,
it's huge.
In regulation.
It's huge.
Sorry, yeah.
So obviously two massive wins. I want to skip ahead to the Toronto game again. We want to talk about Connor's goal. Tyler, your first thought when you saw Connor McDavid steal Morgan Riley's soul?
Oh, man, it's just one of those moments where you kind of turn to everyone around you and you're just like, oh, my God, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see
but he
that?
had a groin injury or something, so.
Yeah,
how convenient that came out just the day after.
That's probably where he got the injury, for the record.
I pointed it out, too. That same night that injury, quote-unquote, broke out, he played the second most minutes of defense on Toronto, and he played 2 minutes in overtime. Yeah. So, is Toronto just running Morgan Riley into the ground? Or is that a fucking made up injury to
Back
make
to
the
the
guys
goal.
feeling hurt?
First
Sorry,
thoughts.
yeah. My first thought was why, I screamed at Connor in my head for looking around for that pass on looking for the second guy on the 2-on-1. But of course he was playing everybody, including myself. And then he just absolutely dangles. It was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Rick?
There is no thought process. You just laugh maniacally. That's all I could do. Literally, you just sat there and you laughed. Like when Bill Daly pulled over the golden ticket or whatever, you kind of stop and were in shock and lost my breath. This time, when Connor did that, I just laughed. There was nothing else you could do.
I arguably screamed loud enough that all of my neighbors heard me. There's no doubt. I too started laughing hysterically because it was one of those goals where, like I said, he stole Morgan Rielly's soul.
There's no words though. There's not. You can't explain it. You watch it and you're just like, yeah, he's here for the next 6 years.
You watch the replay 50 times, just picking up something different. And like Dan said, he was looking backwards toward Nuge. Nuge is 30 feet behind him, so it's not like there was even a play there. But man, did Rielly absolutely hook, line, and sinker by that fake, inside out, around him, upstairs. Hell of a goal.
The first move is one thing, but how the fuck does he go that fast?
Yeah.
On skates. So it's like I said, it's an NBA kind of play. He walks around a guy on skates. It's unbelievable.
But then the acceleration to get past him and like just absolutely like you should be able to, as Rielly, should be able to spin around. He's got a longer reach and you should be able to get there somehow. You affect something, take a penalty, something like that. Morgan Rielly was left useless. He was literally a pylon out there.
Nick, what do you think?
Well, honestly, as the goal is beautiful, but one of the first things I did say is like, fuck, it's almost up there with the Columbus goal. Because to me, that is just still the Toronto goal is amazing, but that Columbus goal, and I know it was a bit of a debate afterwards, but yeah, that Columbus goal, I'll never forget. He first came back from injury, 19-year-old kid, and just makes the entire NHL look inferior to his skill set.
I love his smile that comes out. Like there's like 3 strides after the goal, and then that smile comes out, and you're like, yep.
Well, and then he was shoving with Rielly right after that play and just smiling the whole way up the ice. Like Rielly's just fucking dying inside, going on the IR because he's so hurt.
It was just another one of those moments where I hope Oilers fans everywhere kind of took a second to appreciate that we get to watch him on a nightly basis because he's a very special player. It reminds me of when you'd be playing Adam or something like that. And one of the guys would bring his older brother from midget down to play in practice, and he's just dominating everybody at that level.
Stick handling the whole team.
Or Tyler Yaremchuk in his rec league games.
Fuck, I was just about to say that.
That's the same thing though.
It's just, Connor McDavid is so special to watch, and he's incredibly talented. He processes the game at just another level. How do you fake out that many people that are watching on TV? Let alone an NHL defenseman. Like, it wasn't a pylon that he did this to. It was Morgan Rielly. He's a quality defenseman.
He's a hell of a skater.
He didn't do it to Martin Marinson or some Marley who's in his first game.
Rielly's a top 15 D man. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a hell of a goal. Special. Watch the highlights. Cherish it. We're going to see it all year. Arguably one of the best goals of the season.
Isn't Morgan Rielly the only defenseman that Toronto has signed for next year too?
That's correct. Yeah. Oh no, they just signed
Marinson. Got a 1-year deal.
Just happened.
Shout out to Marty Marinson, hey?
Yeah, sure. Grinding out a career for himself. And also shout out to our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant out in Sherwood Park, Alberta. Again, follow them on Twitter at Sherwood Ford and on Instagram at Sherwood_the Giant. Take pictures of the Nation truck, or just take pictures of Jay. He loves it. He loves your attention.
He will pose. He will pose. If you ask him, he will pose for a picture.
If you ask to see some ankle, I guarantee he's showing some because he always has tiny little culottes on. So take a picture of the Nation truck, hashtag it with Nation Truck, post it on Instagram, Twitter. You are entered to win a $100 gas card from our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. Gentlemen, another big story from the week is obviously Mike Smith. 4 straight starts. Started in Buffalo, had an 885. In Boston, he had a 972. Was ridiculous in that game. Again, I said the third period had like 21 shots against or some dumb shit. Toronto, 889. Not the sexiest save percentage, but he played well enough to outduel 2 goaltenders, and that's really what matters. And then last night in Montreal, he had a 946. What's going on with Mike Smith, Tyler?
This is what we knew we were getting with Mike Smith, right? A guy who can go from looking like an AHL caliber goaltender to a guy who can put save percentages up that would have him in the top 10 in the league, right? Like we saw at the beginning of the year, he was top 10 in save percentage. Then he fell completely off the face of the earth and everyone wanted him traded, said he was ruining the season. The negatives on Twitter were going on and on about how Ken Holland doesn't care about icing a competitive team, blah, 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 blah.
Did you see the stat? He has no games where he's between 900 and 925. He's either above 925 or below 900.
Yeah, man. And right now is one of those hot streaks with Mike Smith. The thing I don't love about him is that we all know that there's a stretch coming where he's bad again. Like even when you just watch him in these games, like against Boston, he makes some big saves, but there's moments where he's falling down in his crease.
Awkward.
And like, there was that shot where he blockered it up in the air for half a second. Is like, where the hell is it? Then he finds it and catches it like a center fielder.
Even against Montreal, like that first goal, he literally just like kicks the rebound to Danault's stick, like right onto the blade. And then on Nate Thompson, he just falls down like on his stomach.
He looked like he was awkward, like he was falling over. He did not comfortable in that.
I am always willing to cut slack to a goalie facing a breakaway, but when Mike Smith gives up that many and looks that dumb with Nate Thompson coming down the wing.
Had a game though.
Yeah, Nate Thompson was actually good, which is weird as well. But I don't know. We know there's a down stretch coming. We know there's probably going to be another high stretch coming at some point too. I would have started Koskinen last night. I still view that as a mistake from the coaching staff. But hey, what the hell do I know?
We don't know how sick he is though, right? Is like
no, they said he was fine before Toronto.
And because they said he's getting the start because of what he had done in the last game. But is he like 100% healthy? Is he Connor 2 years ago in November healthy? Like, how healthy is he?
Yeah, when he came out afterward and Connor's like got every disease known to man and everybody's like, oh.
He lost 17 pounds in 3 days.
Yeah. All right, so that sparks another question. Tomorrow night they have got a huge game in Calgary. We're all going down to see it. We will be there. Woo. Who starts in net for the Oilers tomorrow night? Is it Mike Smith or does Mikko Koskinen get the start?
I'll be the guy to sit there and go, you know what? For the majority of us, we don't know. Allow this to be a coaching thing. We're not there all the time, which is one thing, but we just don't know. We sit here and say one thing and they do the other, and it turns out to work for them. We say we agree with them. It does. We just don't know. Goalies are weird. Goalies are finicky. Goalies you'll never actually understand. I have 100% trust in this coaching staff. You guys do what you guys think is true, and I'll keep yelling the stuff I keep yelling.
Wow.
Keep that in.
Nicely done, Bag Milk.
Thank you.
That's what he thinks of your take.
Yeah, I think so, eh?
Nick, who starts tomorrow night in Calgary?
Man, it's Mike Smith. Got to ride the hot hand. Give him a shot to stick it to his old team.
Are you marking that down? Don't delete my burp. That was art.
You want the burp in there?
I'm an artist.
Game time.
Look at Tyler. Just looks.
Oh, Tyler.
Someone's not.
No. I was also writing down one of these clips I want to use as a promo. So
is it the burp?
It's the burp, isn't it?
Back to you, Nick.
Anyway, you got to ride the hot hand. Let him have some redemption down in Calgary. I'm assuming Talbot's getting the start for them. He's been hot for the Flames,
which is annoying.
Yep. So fuck it, man. Let's just go head to head.
Like I was watching
in redemption though. Don't you say, hey, Koskinen can bounce back from his last one?
No, I don't know. I mean,
I'm just saying,
I like the idea of starting Koskinen. I don't mind it. He's your guy going forward. Like Tyler said, he's going to have a downslide. Mike Smith is going to have a downslide at some point. You give Koskinen the net, and then if it doesn't go well, we go back to Smith again.
It's such an important game.
You never leave the table when you're on a heater.
Yeah,
that's true.
There's an argument for both sides.
When you're riding the rush, you don't run away, baby.
You gave us the nice disclaimer at the start, Rick, so that all that we're saying right now is just fluff and
fodder.
We have no idea.
In the wind.
Coach Yaremchuk, who are you starting tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm starting Smith tomorrow, but I heard an interesting argument from...
He enters it like he's getting interviewed as the coach.
He called him coach. He called him coach. You better take it in.
Yeah, we're going to go Smithers tomorrow. He's been giving us some good chances to win lately, and the guys seem to be playing really good in front of him as well, and it's just about playing the hot hand, and Mikko knows he's going to get a look soon, and it's a big game. 4 points on the line, obviously, with a division opponent coming up, and we think Smithers gives us the best chance to win here.
It is a massive game. Obviously, both teams have the exact same record right now.
Yeah.
And it's how weird is that?
It's a battle, again, battles of Alberta that mean shit. It's pretty cool, hey?
I mean, Calgary's
terrifying.
Calgary should have lost last night, but fucking Talbot, 42 saves for the win. It's ridiculous.
If Arizona loses tonight, then the division title's up for grabs tomorrow.
Who do they play this evening?
They play. Ooh, I just.
I'll beat you to it.
Ottawa?
Come on.
Hopefully, it's somebody with some skill.
Phil.
It'd be kind of cool if they're going to lose to Ottawa.
They're playing the Carolina Hurricanes.
I hate them.
I like the Hurricanes.
I mean, Hurricanes are a sexy team. They're fun. They shoot from everywhere. So.
Yeah.
And
Arizona?
Arizona's on a back-to-back, so.
Oh, man, 1 sec. I'm going to hammer whatever the puck line is on that game.
So, that just adds another layer to tomorrow night's game. Obviously, if you can battle to get back up into first in the division, that's you want it. I want to talk about our trip though. So we've got 2 buses that were once full. We've had a little bit of a snafu. Dan, walk us through what's going on with our Finnish friends.
So, friend of the nation, but owner of the nation, the Squire, got a call at 9 p.m. last night, and unfortunately, the majority of our Finns, and I mean 98% of the Finns.
Back up 1 second. What is happening first of all? So we've got a group of Finns coming in. Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, we're bringing in 25 Finns. We did this last year with them, and they're coming again. We're having some repeat visitors, but some new people as well. They're coming to town to see 3 games. They're also going to head over to Jasper for a hot minute to visit the slopes of Jasper. But yeah,
great weather for it too. Like if you're going to go skiing, a minus 35 days, perfect.
It's good. It's like +4 right now in Helsinki, just for reference for everybody. So yeah, Jay got a call last night, 9 p.m. Unfortunately, some of our passengers didn't have the required visas, quote unquote, that you need to get into the States for a minute when you do a transfer to your next flight.
An SD visa for those of you that are traveling.
I didn't want to say it out loud because I can't remember how to say it. So yeah, the SD visa. And so right now, our Finns are all sitting in Amsterdam. They're doing what you do in Amsterdam, which is having a few brews and relaxing. But they'll be
that's exactly what you do.
They'll hopefully be meeting us in Calgary for the start of the game.
A nice quiet night and
read a book maybe.
Yeah. The plane departs I think at 11 a.m. is one of the flights that we're trying to get them on. So
the red light district, I believe, is where you get hot deals.
Hot deals.
So we're going down to Calgary. We leave the city around 11:30. Tyler, be at the fucking Home Depot at 11:30.
10:30 for Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler, we're leaving at 9 o'clock. We're making our way down. We stop in Red Deer at the Brew House. We're gonna have something to eat.
They're gonna set up a little buffet for us.
Be really nice. And we make our way down to the Saddle Dome. We're going to invade. We have got Sherpas lined up to guide us all the way up to the press level.
It's a long, long walk.
You getting your stairs in, Tyler?
You'll grab 2 beers on the main floor. We'll start the stair walk, and then right before we get up to like our last little perch, there's another beer stop there. So you'll have 4. Well, you'll probably crush the 2 on the way up, and you'll have 2 more when you get there.
I've never been to the Saddle Dome.
You're in for a treat, my friend.
You're not missing a fucking thing.
But you know what is great? The roast beef sandwiches in the VIP lounge.
Really?
It's the alumni lounge, I believe.
The alumni lounge. Yes.
As a former Flame that you are.
I am a Flame.
LaFlamme.
I've been there.
I'm pretty sure your picture is like on the wall now. This man is not allowed back in here.
Not that they have security protecting the door anyways.
Listen, if you give me an opening into the alumni lounge, I'm going to get in.
Did you just walk in once?
Several times.
Oh, yeah, no,
just to eat?
It's just an open area. You honestly just go up there. That's just what it's called. But then he was, were you not trying to just walk into an Oiler box or 2?
Yeah, I mean, like I saw some friendly faces, if you will. I saw some Oilers jerseys in the boxes. So I
just started to walk into their box.
Friends you've just never met yet.
Yeah. I'm a social person when I've had a couple of cocktails. Tyler.
Oh, believe me, I know.
Do you remember what you yelled after the first goal?
Something very...
Something about next Tuesday?
It's very cheery and positive. The Flames fans around me were very excited to deal with me at that point in my life.
That was after the first period we spent together too, and those guys were, honestly, I can't wait for tomorrow night.
It's going to be great. There's going to be a lot of nation citizens who are occupying a big chunk of the horrible arena known as the Saddle Dome. Round the horn real quick before we move on. Tyler, what is your score prediction for tomorrow's game against the Flames?
I'm going to say Talbot starts, Oilers get to him early, and the Oilers walk out of this thing with a 5-3 victory.
Nicholas.
I like that. I like a nice 5-3 victory.
I like you.
Tyler, I like you too. We're going to be roommates.
It's very nice.
Here and Vegas, Calgary and Vegas. I think a 5-3. I like a 5-3 win. Let's put a 5 up on Talbot. Smith will probably have a couple funny little bounces go not his way. So 5-3.
4-1. 4-1. And my friend 56 will have at least 1 point.
Danger Dan?
4-3 in overtime.
Oh, Jesus, I can't handle that.
It's going to be bedlam in the press level.
Dude.
4-3 in OT.
So I'm going to preface this by saying I'm writing the GDB for tomorrow. It's the second Battle of Alberta. And right now I am perfect when predicting the other team will win. Okay?
Oh.
So what I'm going to say is that the Flames win 3-2, but I'm doing it to maintain my perfection in my opposite world.
So you've been a curse for the opposition.
Yes. Yes.
Every time you've said the other team will win, the Oilers have come on.
That's correct.
That makes sense because
you
you probably predicted the other team to win in games against like Dallas and Washington and Boston and Toronto.
I predicted New York Rangers would win. I predicted Boston would win. And the Oilers did. So I'm going to maintain my opposite view. I'm going to say 3-2 win for the Flames. But because I was taking the Oilers to win and everybody was saying that I was jinxing them all through December, so I flipped it. Now I'm perfect. Let's move forward.
Are you going to post Frank's pick after the game too?
Fuck. So like yesterday I recorded Frank's picks. I'm doing my thing and then I pressed send and it just didn't go through. And then I checked my mentions after the game and where's Frank's picks, man? What the fuck? So I was like, oh, it went into drafts. Great.
Good news. He got it right after the game.
Yeah. So bet on Frank. He's on a heater right now. He's on a heater.
Can we bring him to the casino?
Absolutely. Frank loves the casino.
Oh, I think we have him on the craps table there.
Oh, he's my luck charm.
Right?
I'll wear him around my neck like Ludacris would with a giant necklace. That'd be nice. Real nice. Just speaking of nice, I want to give a shout out to our friends at skipthedishes.ca because I'm hungry. It is lunchtime here in the city, if you're having a late lunch, I suppose. And they've got plenty of good things. Plenty of good things, including their commercials with John Hamm were a smash hit, in my opinion. Smash hit. He's got a sports room in his house, it appears, Tyler. And he makes Brandon dress up as a mascot, and that's fantastic. Know what else is fantastic? Ordering food from everywhere. Rick, last weekend I saw you talking about Skip the Dishes and having a decision to make about what you were going to order. What did you end up getting? You were watching a little bit of college football, I believe.
Honestly, I don't think I remember what I got that day. I like the chicken. I did tweet out though. I tried to introduce our friends at Skip the Dishes and our friends over at Arby's.
Yeah, they need to make this happen.
Skip the Dishes liked the tweet, so I don't know if that got the ball rolling. I don't really want to ask. I don't want to like jinx anything right now.
All right, Skip the Dishes. But this is something that needs.
They know about this now.
The people at Arby's need your help, and they, for some whatever reason, they don't reach out to you. People around this city need beef and sheds in their hand at all times.
Please.
Or matzo sticks.
Yes, I have two hands.
Oh, no.
I have two hands. Those matzo sticks better be hot, though.
Wait a minute.
Like the first two are good, and then
this is a thing, Bag Milk.
We stopped at Arby's before our Christmas party. We went to Axe Monkeys to throw some axes. Did you get matzo sticks at Arby's?
Oh, sure he did.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Of course you did.
It's the only good thing on the menu.
Whoa!
I'm kidding.
Tyler, shut off your
kidding. One of those tiny little beef and sheds isn't bad. The French dip and Swiss is pretty good.
See, I would argue our friends are Skip the Dishes. Arby's isn't our friends yet.
Nope. Skip the Dish is trying to make it happen. They're liking Rick's tweets about it.
Yeah,
really?
We're almost there. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, we're getting the fucking ball going.
Arby's just has to wake the fuck up.
Skipthedishes.ca. Go yourself something to eat. You need vitamins. Look at you. You're faint. I can see it through this. Whatever. We are less than 6 weeks away from the trade deadline, gentlemen. The Oilers are in a spot where they looked like they could be buyers.
Trade them all.
We're going to start with Londonderry. Kick rocks, Capilano. We're just saving cap space on you.
What did we get for Heritage Mall?
Desharnais.
Cap space. We got cap space.
Desharnais with that big playoff goal, though. Never, lest we forget. Thank you.
And he won the Spengler Cup this year.
Yeah, he was in the Spengler team.
So I want to talk about the trade deadline. Jason Greger put up an article about it yesterday, Oilersnation.com, with some potential targets. Guys like Chris Kreider always seems to pop up. I want to go around the horn real quick and talk about what kind of player the Oilers need. I want to start with Tyler. Just who do you think they need? What player type? Maybe a comparable? And kind of what assets do the Oilers have that they can give up? To me, if I'm starting, I would say they don't have a whole lot of expendable assets at this point.
No.
So fishing in free agency or fishing at the trade deadline can be a little bit dangerous unless you're getting somebody that has some term or team control left at the end of the deal, right?
Yeah, and I think that last part you just said is a really big one. I think if Ken Holland's going to go out and make a big trade, and that means trading your second rounder either this year, preferably in 2021, if you're going to trade, a Matt Benning, Caleb Jones, one of the young defensive prospects, if you're going to do that, I think it needs to be for a guy who's under team control for another year. So whether that's Josh Anderson, whether that's let's throw out a name like Andreas Athanasiou, whether it's a guy that maybe we don't even know is available yet that you could maybe get. You need a scoring winger or a third line center. I'll take either one. I think either one would really improve this hockey team. but they need to be under team control for another year, in my opinion, because again, I don't think the Oilers are in a spot right now where they can go and trade their first round pick for 2 months of Tyler Toffoli. I think that's foolish. I don't think you should trade a first round pick in Caleb Jones for 2 months of Jean-Gabriel Pageau. I think what you can probably afford to do is trade your second in Caleb Jones for Josh Anderson. I don't know if that's price is right or anything like that.
Apparently Stauffer said the asking price for Josh Anderson would be nuge.
That's
or the same package that New Jersey wanted for Taylor Hall.
Like, come on. I know Josh Anderson's young, had a hell of a playoffs. He's cold right now, though.
Ice cold.
And he's not. No, he's not getting anything close to what Taylor Hall got. But anyways, if you want to give up a couple of good future assets, get it for a guy who can help you this year in your playoff push and improves your team for 2020, 2021 as well.
Nick, we're looking at the trade deadline. I want to know, first of all, part one, what player type or position are they looking for? Part two, what assets can they afford to spend?
Okay, so what they need is definitely, there's been lots of talk about a third line center, and it'd be nice to have a winger in the top six. That being said, you know, the Oilers, what do they need? They also need a number one defenseman. They also need, you know, a 60-point scorer. They need a lot of things, but what they need to get at the deadline, if they can, it's more about, like you said, Bagmelk, what they're willing to give up, the asset management. And Tyler nailed it on the head. Like, trading a first-round pick at this point, I don't think is in the best interest of the team just for this year's playoff push.
Now or in the future.
What's that?
Now or in the future to trade.
If you got like a 22-year-old forward, I think you're okay there, but not.
But like, you're looking at a guy like an Anthony Siu, like a, you know, I'd written an article a couple weeks ago. I mentioned like Boone Jenner, Brandon Saad's been mentioned a little bit out of Chicago, like a guy who can come in, who can basically shoot from anywhere and can help out with the scoring. But you know, the scoring's turning around a little bit now, so I know it's maybe not super sustainable, but yeah, like a Pageau doesn't make sense if it's going to cost you an arm and a leg.
And it will.
He is. Like, there's talk about Duclair, but I think Ottawa wants to re-sign him. As far as Anthony Siu goes, you know, apparently Steve Yzerman's just not a real big fan of his, so he is available for the right price. But you know, Yzerman's not. He's a shrewd trader and a shrewd GM, so he's not going to give a piece like that up for nothing. You kind of mentioned Puljujarvi before, I think, Tyler.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a guy that, again, he's like, you're not going to get anything for him at this point.
Yeah, I talked to Frank Saravalli today, and he kind of just said not realistic to be expecting him to be dealt for a deadline asset.
Yeah.
Said it's a summer thing. It's not happening.
So if you're dealing something the deadline, like it's second round pick, I think, is the highest.
Rick, what do you think?
Yeah, no, we can't move that first because if you look at our forward depth behind this team right now, it is not great, and you need to use that first round pick on a forward. If you bring it in, if you want to move your second, go right ahead. But again, it's not going to be for a guy with 2 months left on his contract. I'm still on board with this, and I may get shit on right now, but I still look at bringing Benson up, and you look at a third line, and you look at a third line centerman. I mean, I think a guy like Tyler Benson can get in there and fill a spot offensively in one of your top six spots right there, and you shuffle. What that does is allow other guys to shuffle back down again, right? If you put Neil down, whoever ends up filtering down in that system, and then you just find that third line centerman. I think that's our biggest need right now.
Well, if Benson comes up and plays that spot, then Nuge becomes your third line center.
Yeah, you can do that. I would be a little afraid to run with that. I'd rather see Nuge where he is. And to be fair,
I love that line.
If I had to say it, and that's fair, and so do I. So let's just say I'll put Benson with Cassian and Connor, and I would do it right away, so you know what you have in it. And if it doesn't work, then it might be something you have to look at in terms of your playoff push and whatnot. But if it does work, then it filters other guys down. It just tells you what you really need to bring in from outside the organization.
So what that would do is it would take Neil out of a tough spot 5-on-5 where he doesn't necessarily shine.
He can still have his power play. He's still out there. Mm-hmm. He's still out there getting 12, 13, 14 minutes on the third line. He's going to be out there with probably some faster guys. He's a big dude. He's been nailing defensemen out there. He's been able to close gaps quickly. He's not really a long distance skater, but if you're just a little bit ahead of him, he's got that little extra effort in him right now. if you just filter him down to the third line, I think he can be really effective.
But the way Nygaard, Sheahan, and Cassian looked in the third period, if that line continues to have chemistry, then you can keep Neal up on that first line, and maybe it's McDavid, Neal, Benson there.
Yeah.
Because Cassian looked really good, I thought, playing with those guys. And like Tyler said, the shot chances were 5-0 on 5-on-5.
He's got to hate that, though, because if he got filtered down to that spot, that's got to completely change his contract come the summer.
Hey,
which is great for the
organization.
It's perfect for the organization. And I honestly don't think they're going to butt their heads over too much of those two guys, where I think Nurse is going to be a lot worse. But yeah, it's going to take a couple dollars out of his pocket, but I don't think he's really overly worried about that anyways.
Dan, deadline targets. What do you think the Oilers need? What do you give up?
For me, I still think the Oilers need a guy on defense that can slide everybody down so that a Matt Benning injury doesn't really hurt us that much.
But did a Matt Benning injury really hurt us?
Nope.
I felt like it didn't. It threw the defense of
Caleb Jones.
Matt Benning in the lineup makes us better, but I don't think we're all that hurt without him.
But my point is that, like Nick said, Caleb Jones came up and didn't excel like he did last year for sure. I think that if you have an NHL talent that's in that 7 spot, then it just gives a little bit more comfort for the team going forward that a guy doesn't have to go out and force himself if he's injured to keep playing. I just think that for the playoffs, you need that kind of depth where we're not calling up Lagesson and putting him in the spot.
If I get what I want, Benning comes in, we see what Jones and Benning look like together, and all of a sudden you've got your NHL quote unquote defenseman and Russell being your 7.
So right now, Tyler Benson, if he got recalled, he's got an NHL of 37 points, which would be a nice little addition if he could maintain that scoring pace. However, the second line looks really nice right now with Nuge, Draisaitl, and Yamo. First line, I think anybody's lucky to play with Connor, so it's just a matter of finding pieces that are adequately fitting around him.
Yeah, just like a note on Jones. Last night, or the other night against Montreal, he was by far the worst player.
He's got Chris Russell he's got to deal with, man. Give him a quality player on the other side.
Rick, just let me finish. So he was just by far as possession goes, I'm just pointing out what it is. He was the worst player. 27% Corsi for, expected goals percentage, 18, almost 19%. So, and you know what? Yeah, he's playing with Chris Russell.
You can't blame every player's problems on playing with Chris Russell.
Exactly. Darnell Nurse played pretty well with him last year.
You just said Nurse and Bear make a really quality second line.
Nurse played well with Russell last year.
Yeah, but a lot of his deficiencies were popping out during that time.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
As you're trying to make up for those things, and you know what? A quality veteran is what exactly you want playing with a Jones. So Jones can just worry about his own game, but when you have to,
it's not getting away back. Watching the game, like Jones is struggling. Like you can blame it on Chris Russell if you want, but Caleb Jones doesn't look confident with the puck. He's not skating great. Like he is struggling. Maybe playing with Russell isn't bringing out the best in him, but like Tyler said, you can't just blame it on the guy he's playing with. Like he is struggling, and so this is just to make Dan's point clearer that maybe bringing in another depth defenseman like maybe an Alec Martinez. I don't know. He's probably available in LA. Somebody like that. Like
I like a name like Brendan Dillon.
Like Montreal picking up Scandella was like that's the kind of thing that the Oilers might need.
But the issue here is that the Oilers don't have very much cap space.
No, they don't.
So they can't go out and trade a fourth rounder for Justin Braun or for Brendan Dillon. And they have limited assets to spend. And right now, I think the bigger need, I do agree, because what happened last time the Oilers were in the playoffs, they started getting banged up. Sekera goes down. That game 7 against the Ducks, were we not dressing Griffin Reinhart? Like, it was ugly there because of the injuries. Yeah, shout out to Big Cat. Big Cat. Well, voice crack. Oh man, I've been struggling today.
It's my shtick.
But I agree that a defenseman would help, but it's not the biggest need. And when you have limited money and assets, you need to address bigger needs first.
For sure. I just think that like a deal like Brendan Dillon, yeah, you're right. He makes 3.7 whatever it is right now. You'd have to get the Sharks to eat a bunch of that too. So and they're going to get a better deal from somebody else for that.
You'd only owe them though whatever. At the halfway point is half of 3.7. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I just I agree with you guys that the forward is the priority, but I just think I would like to see, and I think that Holland would do the same thing if the opportunity arose, is to just get that little bit more depth on D.
Tyler, you wrote yesterday in the weekly rumors, goes up every Thursday on Oilersnation.com, about the potential Russell Bonino idea. Tell the listeners a little bit about what you wrote.
So the reason I think this deal makes sense is I had Christopher Martel on TSN earlier in the week. He's a host down in Nashville. And he said if there's one move he could see David Poile making, it's bringing in a defenseman. Ellis is banged up. Fabro's banged up. They're overplaying the hell out of Ekholm and Yossi, and they need someone who can just come in and do nothing but play defense. Chris Russell sort of fits that bill. The Predators don't exactly have a ton of cap space, but what they do have is a handful of NHL centermen. One of them is Nick Bonino. Their contracts are essentially identical. Bonino's 4.1, Russell is 4. I think Russell would probably waive to go to Nashville. I think that's a pretty nice destination for any player.
According to puckpedia.com, Nashville has $1.9 million in cap space.
Exactly. So if they're going to improve their back end, it pretty much has to be a wash, right? And from an Oilers perspective, maybe you don't need Russell. Maybe once Benning's healthy, you can run Benning and Jones and you like the look of that third pairing and you feel like a guy like Bonino does more to positively contribute to wins than Russell would. Not saying that Russell's bad, not saying Russell doesn't contribute to wins or anything like that. I'm not here to slam him.
He's down maybe, to like 11 minutes a game, though.
But maybe Nick Bonino on your third line helps you a little bit more. Another interesting thing with this, and I'm going to go off on a bit of an aside here, but Nick Bonino has some interesting ties to the Edmonton area. His wife's from here. He has a lot of family from around here. And actually the reason I know this is because when I was working at Jersey City back in my youth, it was the year the Penguins won the Cup with Nick Bonino. Someone called me, I pick up, and they're like, hey, what kind of Pittsburgh Penguins Stanley Cup merchandise do you have? And I was like, well, hats and shirts. And she was like, what about cups? So I dig around. I'm like, yeah, we have like 4 cups and 4 mugs and some shot glasses. And this person's like, put them all on hold right now. I'll be right there. Speeds over, whatever, like 10 minutes later, walks in the door. It's Nick Bonino's wife there to buy a bunch of Stanley Cup stuff for their big party they were having out in Edmonton. Like he celebrated his Stanley Cup win in Edmonton, even though he's an American. So he's got interesting ties to the area. So I think it'd be a cool story if he did end up coming here. And I think he could help the team. And I think the deal I throw out there is actually pretty realistic.
I mean, it fits in line with kind of, in a way, Holland's done it with the Lucic-Neal trade, right? Where they just kind of swap contracts for a player that perhaps fits your team better. Whereas Calgary got the real Slim Shady.
Yeah.
Hockey trades.
The interesting thing with that, though, like I'm just looking at Bonino's advanced numbers. They're really good, actually. Yeah. Really good. Like his Corsi's close to 52 and his expected goals is like almost 60. But Nashville and Edmonton all of a sudden are kind of in a playoff race against each other for the last wild card spot. If, depending what happens in the Pacific Division. So come deadline, is it realistic that the Preds and the Oilers?
I think a hockey trade at that point is a lot more realistic.
Yeah.
Everybody
like a hockey trade for 2 teams.
I'm still thinking, I don't think Nashville's too concerned with the wild card spot. Right now, if they win their game in hand, they are still 5 back of Colorado. They'd be 7 back of Dallas. But I think they're trying to get this figured out to a point where they can win a divisional spot, right?
As are we.
Yeah.
So
we've got the green screen issues happening behind us. Of course, this is a podcast. The 2 guys in a goalie green screen is attacking. No, it doesn't attack unless it's your taste buds, Dan, is our friends at skipthedishes.ca. Of course, they've got thousands of options of all different cuisines, whatever you are feeling like for a little snack, no matter what time of day. As long as the restaurants are open, they'll bring it to you. Right? Skipthedishes.ca. Right. I want to go ahead and get to our Arby's Hot and Cold Performers of the Week. Tyler, get your buttons ready. Of course, Arby's doesn't actually sponsor this segment. However, they should because they need help. They're closing. And I'm sad about it. Maybe if you bought more matzo sticks, Tyler.
Yeah, and those things are fucking expensive. If I had matzo sticks every day, I probably could fund a whole Arby's location.
Hot and cold performers of the week. Of course, we're going to start with the veggies before getting to the dessert. And I'm going to start down at Nicholas Good. Who is your cold performer of the week?
Well, Tyler, I was going to say, you're going to help finance the Arby's because they're saving cost of goods on you because they're shorting you a matzo stick every time, right? So
that was bullshit, man.
This is, I think, the obvious one, but I'm going to take it, boys. I'm sorry. Jujar Kara is the cold performer.
5-on-5 Jujar, though. Penalty kill Jujar is still great.
Sure.
Hey, you'll have your turn.
Out of the forwards last night, particularly against Montreal, he's one of the worst players out there, numbers wise and eye test wise. It's just the same thing. Sloppy giveaways in the defensive and neutral zone. He's kind of, he got a couple points in that New York game, but he's not been on the same heater he was in November. His 5-on-5 Corsi last night was like 31%. His expected goals was 24%. So Jujar Kara, cold performer of the week. No, I get no buttons.
Oh, that's cold.
Thank you.
Sorry.
You gotta ask.
Dan was faster at that. He didn't even know where the buttons were.
Oh, that's cold.
And of course, I'm just trying to find it really quick. Robin Brownlee with a fucking dunk on Jujar last night.
Yes.
He tweeted out, if Jujar Kara would just go to the dressing room now and take off all his gear, that would be great. So that was the kind of night Jujar had last night in Montreal. Rick, who is your cold performer of the week?
It's a tough
FM
week.
voice.
It's a tough week to pick somebody like that. I don't know. I got it. You know what? I'm gonna say this is gonna be weird.
Oh.
I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna call out everybody who got so negative after the Oilers hit a little
So
dip.
the fans. The cold performers are the fans.
Well, probably more the Twitter people.
Wow.
But yeah.
Everybody's turned off our podcast now.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, hey, listen, they shit on this team for fucking no reason so often. They sit there and they'll tear apart fucking Holland for doing whatever. Holland's, we are where we are now. They'll shit on Pippen. We are where we are now. But what I'm just saying is that too many people thought that the streak was over and what was happening in December was what this team is, and I think it was just a little slip in the schedule, and this is kind of what we are. So I'm going to say everybody who got on them and said, you know what, that's it, the season's over, blah 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 blah, those are the cold performers.
Can I on the info sheet I post, can I put the haters?
Yeah, for sure. You got to use it 8
People who listen to this
this
podcast.
All I know, Rick, is there's a lot more room on the bandwagon, buddy.
Buddy, legs are stretched out.
Nation Dan, your Arby's cold performer of the week.
It's going to go to a guy who kind of forced the organization's hands to move him up from the ECHL into the AHL. It's Cameron Hebig.
How did he force it?
He started the year off in the ECHL. 20 games, he had 16 points. And since coming up to the AHL again, he only has 1 goal and 2 assists in 12 games.
So he's bad.
I thought he did something off.
His last 4 games. No, he forced them.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yamamoto
Keith
style.
Gretzky at gunpoint.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, zero goals and 1 assist in his last 4 games for Cameron Hebig. Cold performer of the week.
He bad. Tyler, your cold performer.
Zach Kassian.
Oh.
Man, it's been a good run for the Edmonton Oilers, but boy, it has not been a good run for Mr. Zach Kassian
Tyler with the radio voice there.
since the calendar flipped to 2020. The Oilers have a record of 3-0-1. In that span, they have scored 16 goals, averaging 4 goals a game. Zach Kassian, you get prime minutes. You get to play with Connor McDavid. Life's good for you. You just have to play a pretty simple game. You got to get pucks on net. You got to go to the net. He's not really doing a whole heck of a lot. He had the 1 nice assist against Boston, but apart from that, he does not have a point in 2020, and he has a grand total of 2 shots on net in 2020. We saw him replaced by Josh Archibald in that last game against Montreal. I wonder if that's going to continue tomorrow night in Calgary because Zach Kassian not looking good as of late.
Is this the pregame pod, for God's sake?
Perhaps. Tyler, push your own button, man.
Yeah, Tyler, come on. Tyler, how's your preseason prediction of Zach Kassian's 30 goals going?
It was looking really good for a while there, but I mean, hey, everyone goes through slumps. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He still is on pace for about 26. So
okay,
it'll come down to it. 4 goal night to end the year, and then maybe it's interesting.
My Arby's cold performer of the week is Peter Chiarelli. I fucking hate you. We're still looking for a 3rd line center because you traded Ryan Strome for fucking Spooner.
Yeah, apparently he's available out in New York, I've heard.
I'm going to post the graphic of all of our hot and cold performers, and people are going to look at this and go, Kara, okay, Kassian makes sense. The haters, Peter Chiarelli and Cam Hebig. Makes sense.
That is a big, big week for the cold performers of the week. Go out hooking. Nice. When did I say that?
You said that while we were voicing something for Carl's Jr. You just dropped.
Go out hooking. All right.
And that's going to be your new cold performer sound.
All right.
That could be the hot performer sound too. Depends how much money you need, I suppose. Hot performer of the week, we're going to get to the dessert because it is tasty and delicious. So we're going to go to Tyler with your Arby's hot performer of the week.
Last week I went with one Gaetan Haas, and I'm sticking with the Euro free agent theme, baby. Joachim Nygaard. Have yourself a week. Have yourself a 2020. He's moving his feet well. He's part of a deadly combination with Riley Sheahan that has been playing some real good possession hockey, giving the Oilers some solid minutes in the bottom six. He's going to score on one of these wraparounds. Just you wait. His puck skills aren't great. I don't think he's going to score very many goals, but he will give you good minutes, and he's been giving the Oilers some good minutes as of late. Hot.
This is hot.
Joachim Nygaard. Good for you, Tyler.
I like that.
You know he has the same amount of goals and points as Tobias Reeder. How's that?
Well, maybe if he gets 12 or 13, we'll make the playoffs. Right, Bobby Nix?
Say Nick, your hot performer of the week.
Well, I'll go with Nygaard's buddy there. I'll go with Riley Sheahan. We talked about it already. He was one of the better, maybe if not, well, no. Any team that has Connor McDavid, you can't say that, but one of the better forwards for the Oilers last night against the Canadiens. He's got, I think, 3 points since that New York game. So Sheahan is kind of really sparking that third line and the depth scoring for us. Something we've been looking for almost half the season. So Riley Sheahan is... I've heard a lot of people say that like they don't think he's really panned out either, which...
He had a cold start.
Yeah, he did.
Get over it.
Yeah, I don't know what their expectations were because I think he's pretty much right where I expected.
I'll throw someone under the bus who said it. It was a Hernan hot take where he said he thinks Riley Sheahan has been a bust.
Hernan.
Played 16 minutes against Montreal.
Hernan, buddy. Come on. Come on, Hernan.
That's really hot.
Hernan is hot. Now, Rick, your hot performer of the week.
It's going to be 2 people.
No.
Yep.
I'm going to fucking lose
not
it.
happening.
Not only is it's going to be Kyler Yamamoto.
Yeah,
I'm giving myself a fucking pat on the back.
Holy turd.
I had the balls to say we need to bring him up.
No,
the kid is ready to go. Yes.
Tyler's standing up. Tyler's standing up.
It was not all about his points. I said, you know what? The guy is out there. He's out there. He's drawing penalties. He's in dangerous areas. He's doing exactly what he's doing right now. I said we should have done it a month earlier. And I stand by that.
Would have been the bad call.
I still think we'd have a couple more points. If you don't like being in first place, then you can call it a bad call. But we'd be in first place right now. But that kid has come in here. He's solidified the second line. He's helped solidify the offense on this team right now.
I'm not even arguing with him.
I'm right.
There's your hot sound.
This podcast is a lot like wrestling, Rick. If you're not putting yourself over in this business, nobody's going to do it for you. So I appreciate you.
Well, I was gone last week, so I didn't have a chance to really. So I was like, hey, no, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for having the balls come out and say it. But thank you, Yam. You've proven me right. Well done. Keep it up.
Tyler just left the studio. Tyler's gone. He's gone. We have no producer now.
Danger Dan.
I was actually going to say Rick because Rick had been so respectful and not just jumped it down our throats that he called Kyler Yamamoto.
Wow, that tweet has aged well.
But yeah, here we are. So I'm actually going to go with, I was at another side, I was going to go with Tyler Benson, but he's just been riding the coattails of my actual hot performer.
Oh, here we go.
Mr. AHL.
Mr. Brad Malone. Through 5 games this week, Brad Malone has 4 goals and 1 assist.
Hell yeah.
Yes, Tyler Benson had a beautiful back no-look pass.
Benson not assist on 2 of those Malone goals?
He did. 2 of them. Checking. Not 4 of them, because Brad Malone has 4 goals.
Yeah, no, just 2. Half.
And I'll give Benson full credit, full marks on his assist on one of those passes. It was a no-looker to send Brad Malone into the zone.
That was nice.
All alone. But Bugsy, as he's known down in Bakersfield, is your hot performer of the week.
Bugsy
Malone.
That was hot. That's hot.
Finish off hot performers of the week. I've also got 2, Tyler.
Yeah.
This graphics running out of room, man.
All right, so this is real quick. Of course, I'm going to pick Nuge because he's got 8 points. He's got 8 points in the last 5 games. Nuge is fucking red hot. He is on pace for just under 60 points over the course of a full season. And after the horrible start to the year he had, what are you going to say? My boy Nuge, always huge. My second one, real quick, and how could we not say it? I fucking love these. Pekka Rinne, goalie goal. I love a goalie goal. We don't see them very often. Last night, you see him fire it down against Chicago, drains it. The happiness on his face is fantastic.
We've seen both Smith and Koskinen try this year, right?
They've gone for it. Oh yeah, they're clearing it, but yeah, no, that's on net. They're trying.
Yeah, with the empty net, they've been trying to clear it out on net. I think, hot take, I think an Oilers goalie is going to get one this year.
Call the goalie. Which goalie?
Oh, no, I'm not going to call which goalie. I'm not going to go that in depth.
Though.
Could you imagine happening tomorrow night?
I'm going to say Smith.
Yeah. Hey, wait, what if it happens tomorrow?
Oh, I lose my shit.
I lose. Yeah, that'd be nuts.
I'm throwing my shirt on the ice if that happens.
That's a hell of a long throw, sir.
Well, a nice little parachute down.
I love when a goalie scores a goal because then you get to relive all the other goalies scoring goals because like the AHL teams are tweeting out their videos of goals.
Tristan Jarry did it last year in Wilkes-Barre.
So good.
Was it a direct goal?
Yep. Yeah. Fired at home.
I follow some Finnish guy on Hockey Fights Twitter, and he said that he called Pekka Rinne to say congratulations, and Pekka answered the phone, hey, it's Pekka Solani.
Yeah.
Here. That's good.
I love goalie goals, so Pekka Rinne, you get my second one. That is my hot performer of the week.
It's chicken. It's fried chicken. I like fried chicken.
You might just include Tyler Benson in mine, too.
No. And you're not, and the Rinne one's not going in the graphic.
Oh, come on, man.
And you'll be lucky if I put the himself part in the graphic as well.
You got to just put himself. I'll just
have a visually picking. I'll let him fix it up for me.
Yeah, nice. My Photoshops are that complicated that you.
I can't Photoshop. So whatever you do, whatever I wanted to add to it, Photoshop. I can't do it. So,
you know what? Put Rick on the list too.
Yeah.
Tyler's looking at me with anger in his eyes. We are going to record some other stuff, Tyler and I, so we got to wrap up this week's edition of Oilers Nation Radio, episode 69.
Nice.
I want to go ahead and thank everybody that's coming down on the trip to Calgary with us tomorrow. It is going to be a great weekend. Really looking forward to it, as we always do. Dan, these are great. They're a lot of fun. We meet a lot of really cool people. We abuse our bodies like no one else does. And I'm looking forward to a big, big Oilers win. Thank you, as always, to Sherwood Ford the Giant and skipthedishes.ca for making this happen. Thank you to Tyler for not murdering us. And thank you to the rest of the boys for being passionate. Subscribe, download everywhere. Follow ON Radio Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Have a great weekend, everybody. That is episode 69 is a wrap.
Shout out Damien.
Playoffs 2020.
Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media to stay up to date and never miss a podcast.